introduce our players very quickly. Spawning in the bottom left-hand side of Eternal Empire LE, it is our blue Terran player representing Germany and Mouse Sports. He is the biggest, the largest, the most terrifying of Gabes. His name is HeroMarine.
He's facing off against the red Terran player in the top right. For Team Roddy, it's AqueroN from España. All right, so your intro, you said, to rehash that, you said, boys and girls, children of all ages. And that reminded me, have you been a StarCraft person for like many, many years?
Define a StarCraft person.
Like, were you watching DreamHacks in like 2013?
Yes.
Okay, do you remember Jorisar?
No.
Jorisar is a wonderful human being. I love him so much. He used to do a lot of hosting, a little bit of casting for DreamHack and Aces. His intro in all of his videos is, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerdlings of all ages.
Oh, I
and
like
just
that.
came to my brain when you were doing that intro, and I just wanted to remind everybody that Jorisar exists and is a wonderful human being.
Huh, I like that. Nerdlings of all ages? Is he still casting stuff?
I believe he does random content here and there. I think I've seen him streaming some PUBG recently.
Oh, so you're saying
I don't talk to that much anymore.
If I steal that from him, he won't ever notice?
He'll never know. I don't think he watches StarCraft anymore.
Well, what an interesting opener.
Against 2 Racks Reaper. I like it. Are you ready for a microfest?
I am. I don't know if AqueroN is. There's only one other player I would really put up against Big Gabe in a Reaper versus Reaper fight, and that to me is Kelliger, who I know has just terrifying Reaper control.
Euthermal does too, yeah. But those 3,
yeah.
Kelliger and Euthermal are the guys that I will always remember as being the biggest abusers of 5 Racks Reaper back in the Frozen Temple days.
Oh my
before
God,
they nerfed the Reaper grenade.
5 Racks Reaper. Well, Beyond's back, so apparently they're gonna have to find something new to nerf about the Reapers from here on out.
But AqueroN has always been a player who is I don't want to say he excels to the same level as somebody like HeroMarine in Micro, but he's always been, if I had to say whether or not he's better at his core mechanics or Micro, I would say that he's more of a Micro-focused player. He's always been a big fan of aggressive pushes, not so much cheese pushes, but he's always liked aggressive, but expanding behind big Marine tank pushes and TVZ, things like that. So I think that he's capable of going toe-to-toe with HeroMarine if he's feeling on it today. And AqueroN is a player who has been having a pretty good season, honestly. It's his debut season. And I mean, he took a 2-0 win over Koss.
Yes.
Koss, not HeroMarine, but always a formidable foe.
Those are great games, by the way. Super fun games.
And who was his other win against? Denver. So showing some good TVZ. He's always been a pretty good TVZ player as well. I would love to see him take
no salt there at all for you, is there, Pengy?
Oh, I'm over it. I'm over it. It's been many, many moons. I am now very much content at acknowledging that AqueroN is a much better player than me, but unfortunately, it doesn't appear that he's a much better Reaper player than a HeroMarine in this small instance. Lucky to get away with 3 of those Reapers, I would say, but losing 1, it still is going to allow this to spiral a little bit for HeroMarine. It's not like they're just massing Reapers here, but a 5 Reaper over 3 lead means that map control is now 100% in HeroMarine's favor. And he's going to feel very, very comfortable to build up his economy a little bit more and maybe play a little bit more greedy.
Yeah, that was definitely a deep dive from AqueroN. It kind of reminded me of... Do you ever play any League of Legends, Pengy? You don't have to admit it on stream. You can lie.
No.
Okay. I played a little bit in February for the first time in my life, like a week of it. It just reminded me of like an inexperienced player diving underneath a tower, like trying to go for the kill, but not microing very well at all and paying the ultimate price for it. That was a really rough engagement from AqueroN. HeroMarine getting those first shots off and AqueroN not pulling away in time. So rough start.
It really looked to me like AqueroN unfortunately chose that moment to like drop an NG Bay or something. Like he went home, he wasn't looking at the Reapers. He was very clearly not looking at the Reapers, and it's always a little bit unfortunate when that happens. In this case, though, good grenade there, getting a little bit of damage done on those Marines. Of course, the Reapers will regenerate that HP quickly enough. But behind this, a 3rd CC is already done for AqueroN. So I talked about how HeroMarine might be feeling a little bit more comfortable, and he also has that 3rd CC done. But it looks like AqueroN as well, gearing up to play a very economic start to this game. HeroMarine, though, already has the double NG Bay. He's a little bit ahead in that regard. Whereas AqueroN, he's only going for a single NG Bay, which implies that he's going to be a little bit more aggressive, but also going to be a lot further behind in those upgrades.
You know, it's been a really interesting opening for both these players because sort of the mechanics of their opener were very different than the infrastructure of their opener in my eyes. They both open with that 2 racks Reaper push, which to me usually spells a lot of aggression very early on. I'm used to seeing these Terran players commit pretty heavily to sending those Reapers across either once you get 2 or 3 and really going across the map and trying to get damage done. But we saw for the first 5 minutes of the game or so, but before that one big engagement at HeroMarine's Natural, we saw both players just sitting back, taking the Xel'Naga Watchtower on their side of the map and kind of waiting, feeling out their opponent, waiting to see what they were going to come up against and playing a bit more conservatively. So now we're going to see him, as you said, both going for a third base. HeroMarine will spot the third base immediately, but this drop from AqueroN is really going to be, for me, the bellwether of whether this game might be able to be tilted in his favor. I don't think HeroMarine is ready for this drop yet. He's been defended to the third base, and I don't think he sees this coming.
No, he really doesn't. There's not really much in the way of SCVs to pick off here. I don't think he gets the third, right? Like, there's no way he actually gets the CC, right? There's no way he actually gets the CC, right?
No,
oh my god.
There's no way. HeroMarine asleep at the wheel there for a moment. I don't know what the dickens that was. His tank unsieged, chilling with his buddies, taking a union-mandated smoke break outside the natural right there, and not moving over in time. My god, that was a slow reaction time from HeroMarine. I have never seen him not respond that well to something like that. Unbelievable. Reaper Grenades are going to try and clean up what they can, but HeroMarine and now has a huge hole to dig himself out of, Pengy.
Yeah, for sure. He does have that upgrade lead. Of course, upgrades in TVT are one of the most important determining factors in how an engagement goes, more so than almost any other mirror matchup, with the exception of maybe Ling versus Ling in ZVZ. But especially when it's a Marine-centric army, upgrades are very, very important because obviously Marines attack very, very fast. So the upgrades come into play quite a lot, especially the armor upgrades, which is something that AqueroN doesn't have at the minute. He's not, I mean, is he going into a second NG bay now? Yes, he is. So he's going to be going into 2-1 upgrades. But still, having that upgrade lead, HeroMarine is going to be feeling a little bit better in engagements if they can take an engagement with a relatively even army count. But economically, AqueroN's put himself in a fantastic position. He's up 7 workers at the minute. Finally, this third base is reestablished by HeroMarine. But again, it's still not an orbital command. He's missed out on a lot of mules. He's missed out on a lot of SCV production. And AqueroN is going to be feeling great. And especially in the first game of a best-of-3 series where you're the underdog, you need something like that to really feel like, you know what? I can do this. I can win this game.
Yeah, really nice confidence booster there that AqueroN certainly does need, as you said, certainly the underdog in this series. Now, I've got a question for you, Pengy. Does HeroMarine go greedy here? Would it behoove him to try and, like, sneak a fourth base in, siege up some tanks around it, and just hope that AqueroN's unable to find the right pressure to punish that sort of move? Or do you think he's been hamstrung so badly that he's got to sit back and just defend, and hope for an opening later in the game?
I definitely feel like he's going to defend. Whether or not he goes super greedy for a fourth base, we'll have to wait and see. He is throwing... No, he's not. That's actually AqueroN throwing down a fourth base. But, yeah, so it's... Some players, the weaker players, like, let's say this was reversed, right? Let's say AqueroN was the one who lost his third orbital command. AqueroN, being the underdog, is probably in a position where he feels, you know what, I can't win in a macro game. I have to make something happen. But somebody like HeroMarine, somebody as experienced and as good as HeroMarine, probably feels to himself, you know what, I don't have to take a risk. Because for him, if the game goes long enough, he will probably win in his mind. He's probably feeling, you know what, I can make this work. And he is going to go for a bit of a push here, but this is not a super committed push. He's got that fourth base coming up behind, but he is going for this 2-2 push. He's going to try to take advantage of that upgrade lead. And the +2 weapons for AqueroN is very delayed. So while he does have that second eBay up now, it's still a 2 upgrade advantage for HeroMarine coming in here. And he might be able to capitalize on this upgrade lead enough so to do some real critical damage. We'll have to see.
Yeah, not only the upgrade advantage, but look at the tank count as well. HeroMarine staying even on the tank count, 6-6 right now. Now, of course, there will be a tank reinforcement advantage, defender's advantage for AqueroN. But really, HeroMarine sieging up this third base, forcing a cancel on the fourth base from him, from AqueroN, which is really nice, helping HeroMarine to maintain his economic status here, not too far behind. And oh my god, what on earth is AqueroN setting up for a flank here, Pengy? Oh, this could be really interesting.
The right play for sure. He has to do this. This is an incredible position that HeroMarine has found himself in, and AqueroN is never going to break it in from one direction. He's got to go from both. And honestly, this is a ton of Marines from AqueroN. I don't even know if the upgrade advantage is going to be enough here. The +2 finishes for AqueroN in the middle of the fight. That's enough for him to clean this up. All the tanks go down. and HeroMarine does get the cancel on the 4th, but I don't know if that was worth it. That was a great flank there by AqueroN. Puts himself in a pretty commanding position as far as army supply goes, and he's not that far behind in upgrades at this point, especially because HeroMarine hasn't started his armor.
Big mistake from HeroMarine. There's no way around it. There's no way you start that that attack upgrade and not start the armor at the same time. Just, I don't know if it's a misclick or a forgetting or didn't quite have enough Vespene gas at the time. Finally, that +3 armor comes down. AqueroN will be still behind on the upgrades by a significant accomplishment. And actually, he's going to get caught with some unsieged tanks here. One tank going to go down before HeroMarine's able to dodge away. But HeroMarine, behind that attack, actually got a 4th base up. So while he forced a cancel on AqueroN's 4th base, behind it he built his own 4th base. So previously, while HeroMarine was behind the income, you can see on that income graph, AqueroN was way ahead. But now the 4th base established for HeroMarine. He's 7 workers ahead now also, I think, math. And with the upgrade advantage on the 4th base, I still think HeroMarine's in a great spot. But as you said, a bit of an overextension from him there. That was a great flank from AqueroN earlier, keeping alive just a little bit longer.
I feel like AqueroN made a little bit of a mistake there. He has this squad up to the top right, top left, which is actually going to get a free medevac. Nice. 5 Marines in that medevac. But I feel like those would have been... He could have probably applied a lot of pressure onto the natural with a drop there while he was pushing with this main army. He's going to try to go for another push. There's 3 tank sieged in the low ground, but there's not that many Marines. AqueroN might be able to pounce on this. He's actually gone into Liberators as well, which is a great thing to do when you're ahead in at least a couple of ways. Which I mean, he's not ahead in everything, but... how on earth is HeroMarine going to defend this with these 2 Liberators taken to the skies? He's going to go for a bit of a counter push, which is definitely a good position for him to be in, but there are some units here to defend. Are they going to be enough with these units coming in from the left-hand side? There's going to be no tanks left for this push as AqueroN pounces on top of the ones that are, and, well, there's not enough Marines to really deal with this, I think. Actually, no, there might be. This is a really good hold by AqueroN.
Wow, just a few Marines on the ground up at the 3rd base. Meanwhile, of course, AqueroN deciding he's got to go here, losing a huge chunk of his economy. He's going to siege up the tanks over the 4th base, but look at that pull from HeroMarine. Very wisely evacuating his SCVs just in time. This planetary, though, can bend over and kiss itself goodbye. It is not going to last too much longer here. Planetary Fortress can't do much if it doesn't have high ground vision. So a nice snipe there from AqueroN, who's able to negate HeroMarine's economic damage that he did before. And this game is getting really, really filthy here, Pengy. A lot of back and forth between these 2 guys.
Yeah, it looks like the Vikings might be able to pick off the 2 Liberators. Both of them do now go down, but the tank count is still very, very scary here for AqueroN. Not all of them sieged initially, but there's enough damage output to be able to get rid of that meat shield. AqueroN pushing on towards the left-hand side. More tanks coming in from the right are at least going to distract the tanks of HeroMarine for a second, but the Marines pounce on the remaining ones on the low ground. AqueroN looks like he might be gearing up to take game number 1, Creighton.
This is a beautiful timing from AqueroN, by the way. Look at the upgrades right now. Exactly even for 2 seconds longer. Both of AqueroN's big engagements have been at very interesting anti-timing windows for HeroMarine, where he's been even on upgrades, despite having hit those upgrades harder and faster the entire game. AqueroN has been able to find those engagement timings that have just worked out so well for him. Now, HeroMarine does have control of the air, 4 Vikings to 2. AqueroN producing no more Vikings, though. He's instead HeroMarine going for Liberators and Vikings instead. So it looks like HeroMarine wants to win the air war, and AqueroN doing the classic AqueroN move of trying to go for a big drop into the main. That's going to get stymied, though, by HeroMarine.
I actually feel like he might have been able to make that work. I don't think that's enough Viking to pick off any of those medevacs before they unload their payload, but he decides to play a little bit safer. He knows he has his 5th base established now, as opposed to just the 3 bases of HeroMarine. He's going to go home. He's got +3/+2 now, so he's only down 1 upgrade. He's got his armor on the way, and while we talked about the upgrade advantage for HeroMarine throughout the entire game, there's actually an upgrade disadvantage on the tanks. He doesn't have +2, as opposed to the +3 for the tanks that AqueroN is already going into. So AqueroN going to be able to make up for that Marine disadvantage with the tank upgrades. And at this point, we're getting to the point of the game where, yeah, okay, HeroMarine has gotten himself up to a sizable army again. There is a good chance that in a head-up fight, he might be able to win, especially with that Marine upgrade advantage. The problem is that the main is almost mined out, the natural is almost mined out. There's no additional CC to put down at a 4th. He's really going to be struggling, and he might lose his 3rd again.
Wow, AqueroN's going to get pushed back there. Does eat a lot of tank shots. HeroMarine barely CG for a long time, but man, it's deja vu all over again, Pengy, as HeroMarine's 3rd goes down yet again. Even if AqueroN loses a few tanks here, I still think that was absolutely worth the engagement here. HeroMarine's going to try and dive on top of this, realizing he's got to end this game sooner rather than later. The tank's going to chew through the bio here, but the bio's going to fight right back. AqueroN losing all of his tanks in that engagement. The tank count now 11-4 in favor of HeroMarine, and I think HeroMarine realizes, Pengy, this is his only real chance to close this game out, because economically he has now been destroyed.
Yeah, I talked a little bit earlier about how he probably felt okay to play the longer game when he lost the third the first time. It's a very different situation now. There's almost no minerals left for him. This is what he has to work with. AqueroN is able to evacuate with some of those Marines, but even the tank disadvantage isn't really that colossal a problem for him. It's definitely a nice position for HeroMarine, but almost every single unit that HeroMarine loses, he will be unable to reproduce. He doesn't have the ability, the economic position to make more units. So as long as AqueroN draws this out, the longer he draws this out, the better a position. He's picking off reinforcing Marines over to the left-hand side. That's very, very nice. He's got tanks on the high ground here by his natural. They're going to pick off quite a few Marines. And HeroMarine, he is losing supply, and he's not producing anymore. I mean, AqueroN, but you see a bounce back immediately because he has so much money in the bank. And AqueroN actually feels comfortable to hold this push and counter push himself. And there's nothing at home to defend this for HeroMarine.
Absolutely nothing at all. HeroMarine, in fact, so starved for money that he's floated his main command center over to the third just to get some of that mining going. Absolutely appalling position for HeroMarine here. He still thinks he may have a shot right now with his interesting position on the between the natural and the third of AqueroN. But it looks like we are finally back, and the third base for the third time going down here for HeroMarine. He still has established a decent spot here, causing a lot of trouble for AqueroN and actually getting on top of a bit of his production, but AqueroN saving all of these Marines in the top side.
The story is now entirely on this army of AqueroN's army will not fail here. It will destroy everything HeroMarine has. So the question now is, what can HeroMarine make happen here? And I think the real problem is that it's going to take him a very, very, very long time to climb up this ramp. It's going to take him an extremely long time to destroy all the buildings. And y'all know what the win condition is in StarCraft 2. AqueroN might be able to beat these buildings out of submission a lot faster than HeroMarine, unfortunately. And that's going to be it. GG. AqueroN takes game number 1.
Wow, what an incredible series that was. Guys, a couple quick notes. Sorry to interrupt, Penky. A couple quick notes, guys. I am getting a little bit of frame drop issues on my computer. I think it's because right now I've got a video running for Discord to get Penky on stream. I've got my OBS running. I've got StarCraft running. I'm only running on one computer here, guys, and it's an awful lot of load no matter how good my specs are. So you will see maybe a bit of frame chop, but don't worry. The players are not experiencing any of that lag. And honestly, it's not that bad, guys. Don't complain too much. Thank you for your understanding as we've been working through this B stream. It's just me in my office right now. I don't have a fancy production studio or anything, and thank God I have Pengy here, because without that, I would be very cold and lonely doing this all on my own. What a great play, though, for AqueroN there, cleaning out HeroMarine several times. Now, Pengy, I've heard it said that a lot of pro players will say when you watch a replay, when you study one of your replays, you watch only until your first mistake. When you make your first major mistake on a replay, you say, you know what, everything after the game doesn't really count because that one mistake changed everything. If HeroMarine had saved that third base, had lifted it, had gotten it out for those Marines and saved it at the very beginning of the game, would he have had a chance of winning, or is AqueroN just playing too well?
He definitely would have been in a much better spot. I'm not going to say that he would have absolutely won the game, but AqueroN is playing fantastic. But I do think that definitely set the pace for the game. There's definitely a lot that he can take from that replay, even after the fact, because, you know, sometimes that's going to happen in a match, and you need to know how to react in that situation.
Right.
And, I mean, HeroMarine has gotten himself out of quite a few tight jams in the past. He's an extremely adept player at doing so, but, you know, if your opponent gets into an amazing position in a mirror matchup and then plays it really well, there's only so much you can do. So to an extent, you're absolutely right. He's just going to need to really be focused on making sure that doesn't happen again with a third.
Let's see if HeroMarine can protect his third this game, or if AqueroN is going to pull off one of the most surprising upsets in DreamHack fall history, as we get into game number 2 here on Pillars of Gold LE. And spawning in that bottom left-hand side in the blue, representing Maus Sports and Germany, it's Big Gabe, currently down 0-1. HeroMarine.
And he's facing off against the red Terran player in the top right, representing Team Maradi, who's got to be pretty happy right now. It's AqueroN.
No 2 racks nonsense this game, or at least not yet. It looks like maybe a bit more standard gas timings here. Oh my god, as I say it, AqueroN drops a second gas, as does HeroMarine. Oh ho ho. This could be an interesting start here.
Yeah, so it's looking like pretty quick factories out of both of them. We saw very economic play in the last game, which does make sense. Eternal Empire is a very, very economic map. It's very easy to get up to 3 bases. It's pretty safe to play greedy. Pillars of Gold, little bit different. It's not the most cheesy map we've ever seen, but it's a little bit smaller. It's a little bit shorter, and we'll see exactly what they try to get done here. And of course, AqueroN, he didn't play with an incredibly aggressive build, but he played aggressive tactically, and it worked out really well for him. So maybe he reads into that like, all right, maybe Gabe's not at his absolute peak. Maybe aggression is the best way to try to take an advantage early on. And I feel like, generally speaking, in a match like this, that is often the case, right? If you're playing against somebody much better than you, especially in a mirror matchup, trying to get an advantage early on and then just sort of riding it out is great. Like, you obviously don't want to overextend. You don't want to push yourself into a position where you're allowing them back in by just attacking into tank lines or anything like that. But even if he didn't get that third, right? If he forces a lift, if he kills a few SCPs,
sure,
he still puts himself ahead, even if it's not quite as much. So AqueroN might be in a position where he's thinking, yeah, let's play a little bit aggressive. Let's see what we can get done.
And to underlay your point here, HeroMarine's scouting pattern from this Reaper is everywhere. He's checking for these double proxy racks because he realizes exactly what you've said, you know, that AqueroN is definitely not the favored player, and AqueroN could be going for some sort of sneaky little, I mean, double proxy racks would be a really bold strategy. But, you know, checking for anything that might give him an early game advantage and maybe change a couple different things around, giving an advantage in the early game, leading to a mid to late game win. So far, though, we did see those early factories from both players. Just going to be Hellions, though. It looks like no crazy early defensive siege tanks, no Cyclones out. Very standard builds on both sides as the 1-1-1 finishes up for both players. Big Gabe right now looking very strong. I'm trying to see here. We've got a reactor going down on HeroMarine's barracks, and it looks like a reactor going down on AqueroN's barracks as well. So, wow, very similar builds on both sides.
Yeah, both games, they've gone for the same opener, which is a little bit interesting, to say the least. I'm interested to see whether or not either of these commits to a Hellion drop. That can always be fun. We do have a Cyclone coming out for AqueroN. Generally, single Cyclone, it's a very good defensive tool. We have one coming up for HeroMarine as well, so the build's continuing to be perfectly mirrored. Once again, AqueroN getting a little bit over-aggressive and losing a Reaper, but again, he's going to somehow get out with everything else. I don't know how he keeps getting out with most of these units. It really feels like he honestly shouldn't be. But this time with the Hellions, HeroMarine is going to be able to chase these down. Even if he doesn't kill anything else, he's doing some good permanent damage onto those Hellions, which is going to be very, very nice in these early skirmishes for sure.
Yep, luckily the Cyclone for AqueroN should pop out here. Wow, HeroMarine diving really deep here. What on earth is this? HeroMarine gonna lose everything at the natural base. I wish everyone could see Pengy's face right now. Pengy, I just looked over at the Discord call as that was happening, and I've never seen somebody grimace so hard. I could feel your grimace from across the time zone for how painful that was for HeroMarine.
That was. I mean, honestly, like, obviously, if the Cyclone's not there, he's able to pick those units off very, very easily, but felt to me like there was plenty of time for him to get out of there. I guess maybe he felt like there was no retreat and he wanted to try to pick out as many units as possible, but an unfortunate position for HeroMarine there. He's going to lose map control. Honestly, that doesn't really amount to that much as the game goes on because, you know, Hellions, Reapers, they don't really do very much in army fights, so he's not going to be feeling super bad. But I mean, after losing a game where he made a couple of really big sloppy mistakes, it's very easy to start getting very frustrated in this kind of a position. Even a small mistake early on like that can really tilt a player. And Gabe, he's a very strong player, but you know he's not immune to tilt as we've seen in the past.
Not at all. I know a lot of people watch HeroMarine stream, and it's very common to hear him talking after every single game about how he feels about the matchup or the game that was played specifically. So, no stranger. I think a lot of us could easily hop into HeroMarine's head right now and get a good feel for how he's thinking and what he's feeling about losing that one. I would be curious to hear why he dove in so deep there to that natural. Third base on the way now for HeroMarine. No third for AqueroN, though, who's staying on 2 right now, going for barracks number 2 and 3. We don't see stim out of either player yet. It looks like HeroMarine still hiding his tech just a little bit. What are the odds that HeroMarine goes mech here, Pengy? He's certainly got 4 gases taken for it in a third base, and no barrack with a tech lab on it yet. Oh,
yeah,
this could
definitely
be interesting.
looks like a possibility, honestly. It looks more likely than anything else at this point. see exactly how AqueroN decides to play against this. I like that HeroMarine's going into multiple Ravens as well. It's going to make him pretty safe against tank-based pushes. He's going to have a lot of interference matrices, and he was able to put on a little bit of pressure there with those turrets, with the auto turret. Only gets a single kill, but, you know, it's something. He gets the Raven out, so it's not like he traded anything for it. You know what they say. Free things are good. I like free things.
Free things are always good.
Free things are good is my top analysis of the day. I think that's
that famous StarCraft saying, exclusively in our community. Free things are good. I like it. Now, interestingly, HeroMarine not going to go for mech. He kind of kept this build back a little bit, waiting to crank out his third Raven, and that's going to be a huge difference in the builds right now. HeroMarine going very Raven heavy. 3 Ravens out for HeroMarine, just the 1, though, for AqueroN. So, sorry, Xander, TG in the chat. Only HeroMarine making 3 Ravens. AqueroN sticking on 1. I hate to burn you that heavily, but, you know, you got to call some people out every now and then. HeroMarine.
This is actually really nice for AqueroN in regards to having the gas to go for an earlier +1, an earlier stim, and I think he's going to go for a push here with +1, which is going to be interesting. He's banked up a lot of energy on this Raven, which means that he is going to have the interference matrices to disable most of these tanks, not quite all of them. Obviously, the sheer number of Ravens on the field for Gabe means that he's going to have the energy as well, but they're both in the top left. Why are they both in the top left?
So there's two Ravens going for double Raven auto turret harass. There's a Raven outside the natural of AqueroN going for auto turret harass. HeroMarine sent 2 Marines out onto the map, but they did a little pincer movement and actually missed this move out. HeroMarine has no idea that this is coming. This could be a huge blow for AqueroN. He's at 75 army supply. He's cut SCV production back home. Sure, he's working on a 3rd base, but that's a little bit behind here. Big scan from him. Sees only 2 Marines up at the top side here. He's going to rotate back around. HeroMarine buying himself a bit more time here, but with no Ravens, this is going to be a very difficult hold for HeroMarine, even with those tanks sieged up at the natural.
I think AqueroN might have been hoping that there was a base in position. Maybe he's pulling back because he doesn't feel comfortable at pushing in, but now that he sees the Ravens pushing, honestly, like, he's in an amazing position. If he pushes right now, I think he just wins the game, but I don't think he realizes that. The only scan he dropped was on that 3rd to check whether or not it was down, and it's obviously not. So the auto turret's applying a little bit more harass, 3 more workers going down, but that's a lot of energy that's not going to be available. And also just the fact that the Ravens are also just still not at home. I believe one of them may have, no, they're all the natural. So I feel like AqueroN really should be trying to push here, but he's losing a lot of time. As you said, there's a lot of tanks out now. There was a time when there was about 5, now there's 7, I believe. Yeah, so there's 7. So 1 Raven is not going to be able to interference matrix all of those tanks. So a little bit unfortunate that AqueroN misses out on that timing, and he's going to lose more workers here to this auto turret harass. This auto turret harass is actually doing a lot of work, Gabe.
There's no way auto turret sniped.
No way.
There's no way he sniped. There's no way that auto turret sniped this 3rd base. There's no way. Oh my god, the SCV repairing at the last second. Oh, he smokes.
I love that he tried to snipe the SCV as well. That was really, really cute by HeroMarine. Unfortunately for him, it's not going to work out. Oh. But yeah, I mean, AqueroN just waiting for this 3rd to go up. He sees the he sees the unseen. But there's a scan, and HeroMarine's able to see AqueroN's army as well. So just sharking around AqueroN, not wanting to risk an overextension there, deciding not to push in. Unfortunately for him, he misses out on a window. Doesn't really put him behind or anything too much. He's definitely behind in workers. You mentioned that he cut worker production for a while. He also lost a fair few.
Right.
So at this point in time, he's also down in upgrades, although he is about to have 1-1, tying up the upgrades soon enough. I do think that AqueroN needs to make something happen. It doesn't need to be a lot, but he needs to at least find a favorable trade.
You know, I'll go one step further, I think, Pengy. I think AqueroN needs to make something big happen right now. If you check, he's got no armory right now, which means his upgrades are going to be stalled at 1-1. The longer he waits to put down that armory, the worse this game is going to go. And here we go. AqueroN going to go ahead and dive in. Interference Matrix seeing a couple of these tanks here. 1, 2, 3 tanks all going to go down. The tank's not really in position. This is apparently the move that AqueroN was waiting for to really put pressure on the 3rd base now. His tank line in the back, not really that effective. Some of these tanks not in the fight. He needs to roll a few more of them forward. The Vikings from HeroMarine doing a huge job zoning out these medevacs, though. The medevac count for AqueroN not that great. HeroMarine saving SCVs in the medevacs. Wow, saving a bunch of them from certain death there. AqueroN will clear the 3rd here, and I like his position in this game a whole lot. Now that he's cleared HeroMarine's 3rd, that was a beautiful engagement from AqueroN.
Yeah, he definitely finds a lot to be happy about there. He's able to deny mining at the 3rd. He doesn't get the 3rd this time. He doesn't really kill that many workers, but he's denying quite a lot of mining. He took a decent trade there with the army. It looks like he's not... I think he loses his tank fight. Yeah, he does. And he might be overstaying his welcome just a little bit here. But again, like you mentioned, no armory, no additional upgrades. +2/+2 is not that far away for HeroMarine, and this is an overextension by AqueroN with those Marines. He loses a lot of that precious meat shield for the tanks, which are now almost essentially unguarded. But a lot of the Marines go down for HeroMarine as well. This is a very, very messy engagement, but it does look like HeroMarine is going to be able to make this work. He makes the hold happen, and that puts him in a fantastic position in this game.
For those of you who are wondering who HeroMarine is, he's this one. The guy that I've got highlighted right now, who dropped in between two tanks and took them both out, giving vision. That guy right there is the actual titular HeroMarine that Big Gabe has named himself after, doing an incredible job on the battlefield. HeroMarine now able to retake his third base, and let's take a look at what that's done overall to the economy of these players. We can see that AqueroN had jumped into the economic lead by a considerable margin, 1,000 resources per minute over HeroMarine there for about 2 minutes in the previous game. It's now going to drop in favor of HeroMarine due to those mules being dropped to the third base now, but most importantly, the sustainability of the economy of AqueroN is so much higher than that of HeroMarine. HeroMarine still just on 3 bases, no 4th command center, and now I think the onus is on HeroMarine to push across the map and get some damage done. He's starting his +3/+3. Armory for AqueroN just going down, but he's still on 1-1 Pengi. HeroMarine's army is very scary right now.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where if HeroMarine knew everything that was going on, maybe he just waits for 3-3 and then goes, but he doesn't really have a way of knowing when AqueroN threw down that armory. It very well could have been earlier, would make perfect sense for him to throw it down behind that push if he really wanted to be super safe. So HeroMarine might just try to make something happen with 2-2 here. He can obviously click on the Marines and just confirm that there is no 2-2 just yet for AqueroN, but he has no idea when that's going to finish, which is also a little bit of an uncomfortable situation to be in, because if you push right when you have 3-3, he knows he has an upgrade lead. If he pushes right with 3-3, he knows he's going to have an upgrade lead there, so maybe he waits for that, just because he definitely... I wouldn't assume if I was HeroMarine that I was this far ahead on upgrades, but that also is going to give AqueroN time to remake that tank count. He's definitely behind in the tanks right now. It's currently 9-5, and he's actually only producing out of 1 factory at a time, as opposed to HeroMarine, who has 2. The big thing as well for HeroMarine is that he's adding in those Liberators. We talked about it a little bit in the last game, how important Liberators can be in Marine tank versus Marine tank. That's going to be very, very uncomfortable for AqueroN to deal with, especially since he only has 2 Vikings, so it's not like he has a Viking lead, although he will soon.
Yeah, this is a real head-scratcher of a game here. HeroMarine's going to have that upgrade advantage for so much longer, which means that AqueroN's going to be forced to stay back home. But I feel like AqueroN, very much like myself, likes to just stay at home right now and not go outside of his main base. Look at this. He's adding on a 5th base as well, and HeroMarine has no such expansion plan in sight. HeroMarine going to push out now, and this, I feel like HeroMarine has got to win with this push right now, or at least do crippling damage to AqueroN, because if not, AqueroN's going to be on 5 bases against 3, and look, guys, I know we all love upgrades, especially in a TVT Marine versus Marine battle, but remember back to the wise words of Day 9 from all those years ago. StarCraft is not really a real-time strategy game. It's an economic management simulator, and if you have more stuff than your opponent, you're much more likely to win. AqueroN on his way to having much more stuff.
The nice thing for HeroMarine, though, is that if he's applying pressure the way he is, it becomes very, very difficult to really capitalize on that extra economy that AqueroN has. If AqueroN's trading on HeroMarine's side of the map, he's able to just, you know, trade, go home, rebuild, trade, go home, rebuild. But at this point, HeroMarine is really applying quite a lot of pressure. AqueroN's positioning has been so good. This Viking lead for him is a big boon as well. He's just not allowing those Liberators to come into range. He's slowly but surely picking away at the health on these medevacs as well.
Yeah.
And that becomes even more awkward because you really need to be maintaining that medevac count. But we have a little bit of a push here from HeroMarine. It's a bit of a messy trade initially.
That's a garbage push from HeroMarine. What the hell was he thinking there? Not sieging up his tanks until it's too late, running those Stim Marines straight into the 3 siege tanks of AqueroN. Sure, he cleared out 2 siege tanks, and he still does have a significant siege tank lead, but as you said earlier, the siege tank's not really the crux of the fight here. Even though HeroMarine's tanks are slightly more upgraded, AqueroN is going to be able to outproduce him on Marines, and as long as those Marines are still flowing out of the barracks, HeroMarine's going to have a difficult engagement here. A lot of Vikings going down, though, immediately for AqueroN.
Yeah, AqueroN loses his air army in its entirety, essentially, and it looks like that was just a bit of a sloppy engagement there. AqueroN's going to be able to drop on these tanks on the left-hand side, picking them off. Some of those Marines are still in the medevac, though, and he's going to go for an engagement before they all unload. And really, I don't know, man. That was a tale of 2 moderately sloppy engagements. HeroMarine initially looked a little bit yikes with his, but AqueroN unfortunately didn't execute the secondary defense quite as well as he did the first time. HeroMarine just able to break the back of our Spanish player. tying up the series 1-1.
It was the mech of time. It was the bio of times.
It was the Marines of times. It was the tanks of times.
A tale of two
And
soft
HeroMarine is going to be saying tanks a lot for that game.
He keeps it rolling, that a boy, Pengy. I gotta replace you with. I gotta replace Grant with you more often, man. This has been a scream. Nobody click that and send it to Grant.
Cast.
Definitely.
That's the real trick.
Do the what?
The trio cast.
Oh man, we go full Korean on DreamHack. That'd be exciting. Well, game 3 now. HeroMarine looked, I'll be honest, Pengy, a little sloppy in a lot of his engagements there. I feel like he was forced into taking some of those engagements that he maybe didn't really want to take. And then, luckily for him, a bit of counter sloppiness from AqueroN. That last engagement from AqueroN, just hot garbage. He did not need to do that. Not sure what he was thinking there. But hey, the god has shown that he can bleed here. AqueroN really in a solid position here in game 3, but HeroMarine's got to be breathing a huge sigh of relief that he didn't go down to some nasty cheese or something in game 2. Let's hop in, guys. Game 3 now. EverDream LE will be in just a moment. And we'll start up in the top right-hand side in the red, representing Team Roddy and Spain. It is the surprise breakout player putting on a decent performance this game. It is AqueroN.
Facing off against the blue Terran player in the bottom left, representing Mouse Sports and Deutschland, it's HeroMarine.
So, Pengy, I don't know how active you are on StarCraft shitposting Twitter, but there's been a particular young Italian player who was making some noise last week. HeroMarine. Have you been following the HeroMarine pizza saga at all, Pengy?
Oh, God. There was, on New Year's, so we went to a bar in Philly on New Year's, and we got very drunk, as you do on New Year's, and we went to a pizza place at like 2 in the morning, and they had mac and cheese pizza.
Oh, my God.
So, I bought it out of curiosity. It was horrible. It was so bad, but it was 100% worth the expense because I was able to tweet it at Rainer and make him just a little bit more sad for the rest of the day.
So for those of you who may be confused, HeroMarine has been doing pizza streams recently. He's done about 2 of them now, I think. He's been doing cooking streams now, making pizza. And the last pizza was met with such derision by Rainer that Rainer threatened.
On it.
I mean, yes, and completely understandably so. Rainer has now threatened to enter the ESL Open Cups for no other reason than to beat HeroMarine as a way of chiding him and scolding him.
Honestly, like, that's great and all, but I feel like what really needs to happen is that HeroMarine needs to enter the Pizza Pie Weekly so that we can buy him a pizza and he can understand what pizza is.
Oh, jeez.
Are you a music guy, Creighton?
I actually studied opera performance my freshman year of college, yeah.
Oh, I studied musical theater performance.
Yes.
Hello.
Nice.
Should,
what's your favorite, what's the musical theater role that you're most proud of, that you've been?
Javert and Les Mis.
Oh my god, I was the understudy for Javert and Les Mis in like 2014.
Excellent. Fantastic. We should in next season we'll do an entire game.
Who is this Terran? What sort of devil is he? You have me caught between his tanks. That's a joke for one person in chat. Excellent. And for you, Pengy.
Excellent. I appreciated that. Yeah, do you know what the name of this map is named? What this map is named after? It's a little bit of trivia for you.
EverDream. I have no idea what EverDream was named after. Tell me the story.
It is named after a very old Nightwish song because Maros, the map maker, is a fan of Nightwish. Great. I'm also a fan of Nightwish.
What is Nightwish? Are they like a rock and roll band?
It's a symphonic metal band from Finland. Okay, Highly recommend.
That sounds dope. Nightwish.
I will link you some good Nightwish songs after the stream.
Please do. After NA, when I need something to cool my poor heart from all the nonsense that's going down in North America. Noted. Noted. Okay. A bit of a difference, by the way, in these 2 builds here in this game. So far, AqueroN trying to put on a bit of pressure, eating some damage here. He's still continuing his pressure, though. The Reapers on the high ground going to get driven back. Man, both these players really going at it hard this time. They're not quitting at all. HeroMarine has a slightly earlier natural because AqueroN went for a quicker 1-1-1, but things are going to even out in the wash here, and it looks like we are going to settle into another one of these games that looks like it's very close build order-wise.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny how they've been going for the same builds on every map. I'm not a Terran expert. Maybe these are just the generally considered best builds on their respective maps. But I feel like this is a little bit uncommon that we see the players going for the exact same opening 3 times in a row. Obviously, in the last game, there was a little bit of a deviation on the Ravens. But yeah, we'll see exactly how many Ravens each player goes for this time. I mean, the Ravens for HeroMarine absolutely put in work in the last game, so I wouldn't be too surprised if he decided, you know what, let's try it again.
Yeah, and they were really interesting because both you and I had some concerns, right? Leaving 3 Ravens across the map. They did eventually get mowed down by reinforcing bio units, but at the same time, they killed like 11 workers before, so before they were pulled off, and of course 11 workers early in the game, worth 30 workers in the mid or late game, just because the value of a worker increases over time. So losing earlier workers, so much more painful. So yeah, as you said, both players we're gonna be keeping a close eye on those Raven counts. Right now, both players going for their second Raven, but HeroMarine dropping a 3rd base slightly earlier than AqueroN is. AqueroN looks like he may be, oh no, that's a Cyclone. I thought he might be posturing for it up the high ground. Ooh, no 3rd coming out at all for AqueroN here.
Yeah, this looks like it could be a little bit of an aggressive push out of AqueroN, who is adding on additional Ravens this time, which means more interference matrices. Yay! And not a single eBay just yet on either side. So looks like, Big Gabe deciding, you know what, we'll go a little bit smaller on the upgrades this time around. Although, as I say that, he does throw down the double NG bay. The 3rd base is coming up for both players now. Looks like AqueroN is deciding, you know what, CCs are good. I like mules. So he's decided to increase that CC count by 1. But overall, I'm really interested to see what AqueroN decides to go for here. It almost looks like a bit of a reversal in the way these two guys are playing. We're seeing a later upgrades and later stim out of AqueroN this time around. So let's see how this ends up playing out. The double upgrades are going to be coming in from him. I think this is the first time we've seen him go double eBay, right?
For HeroMarine?
No, for AqueroN.
No, AqueroN. Yeah, you're correct. This is the first time we've seen him go immediate double engineering pay. He has done those really wonky, like, 2-1 pushes in the past. It's so strange to see a Terran player not commit to, like, a solid 1-1 push. I feel like there's no greater commandment in the Terran army than, get your upgrades at the same time, push exactly when they finish. It just, increases the strength of your army so incredibly strongly. But yeah, first time I think we've seen AqueroN go for that just straight, solid double NG bay timing. HeroMarine's 3rd base finally floating over here. Going to take that 3rd position. Interesting choice from HeroMarine, taking the 3rd position in that sort of V forward inside 7 o'clock position, and not the slightly safer 9 o'clock position. I like the forward position, though, from HeroMarine here. Fairly easy to defend all the same, and of course that tank coverage going to be a little bit more effective covering the ramp at the natural. Extra barracks on both sides.
It is interesting that we after seeing 2 pretty aggressive games from AqueroN, he's decided, you know what, hang out. He doesn't want there to be too much downtime between the end of this and the beginning of the NA portion. So he's decided, I think that's actually why he lost game 2. He gave HeroMarine a game just to give the audience an extra game of StarCraft 2 and to give us less of a break. Because you know what? Who wants breaks? We want to just have non-stop StarCraft action. I appreciate that from us.
Absolutely. If we could condense this StarCraft, moisturize it somehow, and just IV it straight into my veins intravenously. I feel like that'd be the best way to enjoy a StarCraft series. Nice little 1v1 on the bottom of the map here. AqueroN is going to win that 1v1. The Billies catching each other, which means that Hero's map presence is actually reduced to almost nothing. If we check his vision here, he's not scouted what AqueroN's been up to for ages. And honestly, I don't think he really needs to. If you're going for a pretty safe 3-base 1-1 push timing, or even a 2-2 push timing maybe, you can stay back and not really do that much investigative journalism on your opponent.
I don't know if you saw that. The one Marine that HeroMarine sent over tried to 1v3 AqueroN. He actually got 2 of them. You know what?
Oh, really?
He's a little HeroMarine himself.
Well,
not quite the HeroMarine that took out the tanks in the last game, but we'll give him a little bit of a props. Good Marine.
Man, they're still going here. Look at that. HeroMarine really wants that position here.
Yeah, they really want this map control, don't they?
Which actually could be indicative that he's going for something different. One thing we haven't seen from HeroMarine in the past, couple weeks is like a big drop, and that's something we've seen from AqueroN over and over and over again. Almost all of AqueroN's games have been punctuated, not just when he's behind, but also when he's in fairly decent positions, by these big 4-5 medevac doom drops. He really seems to enjoy that style, but HeroMarine has not been quite as agile with his bio army as we're usually used to seeing, so I do wonder if he's clearing that south side of the map so he can specifically go for some sort of either push across the south side into what he hopes is the 4th base of AqueroN, or even a big doom drop into the natural. Would be so much fun. But right now, HeroMarine just heading up the north side of the map. A couple medevacs and some more Marines. Oh, nice snipe there by the Vikings.
Two really interesting things to note is that we've seen a much heavier committal to air on both sides this game. They really want to win that air war, and AqueroN has a big lead in that regard. And second of all, looks like the armory on HeroMarine's side is actually a little bit late. He's lost that upgrade lead, at least on the weapons. He has a little bit of a lead on the armor still, but it's essentially null and void at this point. So
yeah,
a little bit unfortunate for HeroMarine. We did talk a little bit about how AqueroN's ebays were a little later. That is no longer a thing that matters. So he's caught up in that regard. He's got the air advantage, and as long as you have the air advantage, really, if you play patiently and if both players control their armies perfectly, the one with the air advantage will generally win the game.
Yeah, absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. We've got, as we were just looking at the screen here, 10 Vikings to 6. Neither player making Vikings right now. Both players dropping a bunch of extra barracks, but here we go. HeroMarine is going to get caught out with one little battalion of Marines here. These Marines going to get driven back, and it looks like they won't be able to make it, forcing a stim out of AqueroN, but here we go. HeroMarine now pushing the 3rd base, but AqueroN is on top of him.
Yeah, he's got the flank coming in. Oh, he unfortunately stims a little bit late, decides to disengage for safety, but he's picked off a lot of those tanks. Oh, I think he disengaged because of the interference matrices. Really well done there by AqueroN, though. He baits the army away from his own tanks towards those Marines. HeroMarine thinking, you know what, maybe I can get a free kill on these Marines, but no! AqueroN says absolutely not. And now AqueroN has not just a pretty sizable Viking lead, he has a very sizable tank lead as well.
Yeah, that was really great. HeroMarine getting caught in a bit of... getting caught in a trap. Sorry, it's stuck in my head now. Getting caught between the left flank there of AqueroN and the high ground. So HeroMarine is going to try again down the south side. He's hiding this army on the south side, so these scouting Marines from AqueroN don't see it. And look at that. Yeah, he's going to stim a few more Marines forward, trying to hide as much of his army as he can. AqueroN in the middle of the map right now might get caught out. Great scan from HeroMarine. They're checking where the army is, and HeroMarine's going to be forced to respond to AqueroN in the middle of the map.
Yeah. I've got AqueroN pulling on back here. He is sharking around a little bit, and I'm wondering if part of his brain is thinking, Big Gabe, Monsieur, I've got Marines and tanks. They're dropping in your main. Wondering if that's on his mind, but he's going to be going for a little bit of a push there. We've got a bit of a base trade scenario gearing up here as both players pushing on in. Both of them have a huge bank as well. This is just going to come down to execution, Creighton. One Raven's already gone down. Good focus fire on the Ravens on AqueroN side of the map, on the HeroMarine side. Both of AqueroN. So far, though, HeroMarine looks like he started things up a little bit quicker. 4th base is established here for AqueroN and mining, so I guess he's going to have a little bit more in the way of minerals. Both of them now just trying to... I mean, you know, we've talked about it before. Conditioning the building, so I guess they're following the letter of the rules to the letter.
Absolutely. Now, this is really fascinating. We see a couple different approaches from these two players. HeroMarine's looking like a more solid sweep approach, right? Taking out the entire natural, then moving on to the production facilities. Whereas AqueroN has stimmed his way straight up into the main. He's gonna eat HeroMarine from the inside out, like a parasite, like an alien parasite in some horror movie, where he wants to get on top of his production first and foremost, and then try and destroy him from there. Already, we see HeroMarine setting up a contingency plan, though. Top left-hand side of the map. Double command center. Bottom right-hand side of the map, a bunch of barracks. And right now, AqueroN's simply not responding, Pinky.
Well, AqueroN is going for a very different plan. He's remaking his barracks. He wants to make more units, which if he's able to get out like two or three waves of Marines, that's going to be great. You know what he doesn't have? Depots. That's a little bit unfortunate for him, and I don't think that this was the right play. He's not going to be able to defend this PF. There's no way he's going to be able to defend this PF if HeroMarine decides to push for it. He is dealing quite a bit of damage himself, though. He's going to be able to pick off the 3rd base of HeroMarine here. He's picked off one of the floating structures. This is a very close game. Honestly, if AqueroN can get out a few more Marines, I favor him in this position. And he's going to be able to unsupply block himself a little bit. Oh, I love this as well. Fusion Core coming in. I mean, why, though? Is it going to be for like lib range? Does he have libs? He has 1 lib, so maybe lib range? This is a little bit weird. Is he going to try to make a BC?
That would be a really odd choice for sure. A battlecruiser to win on the back of a base trade would certainly be unusual. I gotta say though, HeroMarine seems to be in an unassailable position right now. If we check AqueroN's vision, he has not seen any of the shenanigans that HeroMarine is doing on the top left corner of the map, nor the bottom right corner of the map. HeroMarine mowing down everything that AqueroN has. AqueroN focusing all of his risk, putting all of his eggs in this one basket at 12 o'clock. HeroMarine, meanwhile, spread all over, and he just has to defend one of these two locations to be successful. Oh, the Vikings from AqueroN eating some big damage there.
Oh my god, AqueroN never, or HeroMarine never scouted that base. He doesn't even know that that base is there. As far as he's concerned, okay, now he knows. But like, as far as he was concerned, up until that moment, there might have just been a single orbital command floating in the corner, but now he knows that's not the case. He sees everything, and we do have advanced ballistics coming on in, the Liberator range upgrade. Oh man, I mean, we have HeroMarine who saved a lot of his barracks. He's also producing units. Oh my. Well, I actually don't think this game's going to end anytime soon. We're just in a little bit of a weird situation where they both decided, hey, you know what? Our mains are mining out. Let's just take new mains.
And now it's going to be a game of hide and seek. Imogen Heap would be so excited about this game. Good.
I like that one.
Thank you. See, Grant never laughs at my music jokes. Come on. This is so great. Anyway, HeroMarine does find this planetary, though. Gonna siege up the tanks, and this is so bad for AqueroN. As we said, he's on the clock now. HeroMarine can shell down this planetary fortress. There's the big stim out of the 2-2 Marines from HeroMarine, and as soon as the planetary goes down, AqueroN's gonna be revealed.
And this is I guess you could call this an what to say moment for AqueroN, as he's gonna be losing out on the rest of his production structures, on the rest of his economy. The army count is not looking particularly favorable either. He does have a single orbital command, or a CC building in HeroMarine's old main. I really thought that AqueroN was going to be able to maybe pull this out, but HeroMarine showing, I mean, this is really the kind of situation where experience comes into play the most, right? Like, HeroMarine played this game like a guy who's played about 150 base trades in the last year already. Like, he's very experienced in this kind of a game. And I just don't see a universe where AqueroN picks up all these buildings. I don't see how he has enough. However, hear me out, Creighton.
I'm listening.
I feel like AqueroN should not go for a win anymore. I feel like AqueroN should use the Marines and the medevacs he has to essentially deny mining as well as possible, and use the Vikings he has to camp in a corner and try to force a draw. I think that's his best chance here. I don't think he's going to do it, but I think that's his best chance.
Man, even that's a really bad choice.
Oh,
though.
the army gets caught, though.
Yeah.
He's not going to be able to get out of here, and I think this is going to be it.
Oh my god, even the Dorito dust covering all those tanks. Big Gabe stims in, and Big Gabe cashes out. GG.